We're here lucky enough to be back with Phil Whitehawk, and in the discussions we've had, which have gone on for, I think, a month and a half, but not long enough, he has enlightened me on the Hopi belief. Phil?
Well, they were my teachers early on, and the Kikmovi of the Parrot clan was Mina Lanza, and her husband was John Lanza, and they were some of my early teachers. And I was telling you about when we had the multimedia show in Nebraska, and we were traveling around during the bicentennial year, and we were doing 162,000 students in the schools in Nebraska, and I got a little puffed up about this, and I went back and I talked to my teachers. I said, Mina, we've done 162,000 students in the schools in Nebraska, expecting an attaboy, and she just looked at me and she said, well, go out and do another 162,000, right? So she detected a little puffer in me, so she took the pen and went. The thing about the Hopi is they are pacifists. And they believed that Adolf Hitler had desecrated the sacred symbol, which is the swastika. You can see it in Navajo rugs, and you can see it all over. And it's the embodiment of a phrase that I gave you earlier, the one became the many, but the many can't remember how it was. So here we are, we come from a single origin, and we're all out in these crooked kind of paths, and we're required to find a spirit path, because that's crucial to the survival and the health of the Earth Mother. And so we wend our way back to the center. So that was the idea that the Hopis had of the swastika. And when the swastika became the symbol of Nazi Germany and had canted it several degrees off of the upright, the Hopi said that he has desecrated the sacred symbol, and therefore he's already been defeated on the spirit plane. And since he's already been defeated, we don't have to go over there and fight because we're pacifists. So it's an interesting train of thought that they had about this, and that they have a body of prophecy, and I'll just give you just a few of them. These are things that were given in the Kiva on a need-to-know basis. It's part of their knowledge, that's their oral tradition, that's transmitted from one generation to the other. So they have several of these prophecies. And one day in the late 40s, in the early 40s, one of the Kiva, bodies of knowledge of a Kiva, came to the other Kiva leader and said, I have to share my knowledge with you. And the other guy says, holy cow, that's a fulfillment of a prophecy. When one brother from a Kiva shall share his knowledge with another. So this started the Hopis writing letters to the President of the United States, telling the President of the United States their opinion of the health and the prospects of the Earth Mother. This has been going on for a long time, right? So every time that the Hopis would see a fulfillment of their prophecy, they would share this knowledge with the zeitgeist of the general public. And although the general public was never interested, but the prophecies are really interesting. One of them was they started stringing the telegraph lines across the reservation. Well, the Hopis had a prophecy, when men shall speak to one another through cobwebs. Well, nobody knew what that meant. And then all of a sudden, here come the telegraph lines, and they say, wow, that's a fulfillment of a prophecy that's thousands of years old. And it was given to an oral tradition in a way that it could not be understood until the right time. So that's the nature of all these Hopi prophecies. You have to have something happen to, make it click. And the other one was when many paths cross the sacred land and all bear water before them. Well, they're out in the desert. They didn't know what on earth that meant until they came on the reservation and started putting blacktop down, right? And then they would see that mirage on the blacktop. And so these are just things that came into their realization as a result of their prophecies. And they're really important to Hopis, but not important to anybody else in the dominant culture except the pan-tribalists like me that think they're very interesting. So the one that I have that I think is really interesting is that when the clever race has the house that flies in the sky, and that is of course the space station. It doesn't work with airplanes. Nobody lives there. And a house somebody lives in. They said when they have the house that flies in the sky, there's the space station. The Hopi said, wow, that's the house that flies in the sky. And then at the end of the prophecy, this clever race shall have just one more invention. Well, what is the one more invention? In my opinion, it's the internet. So I think the internet has great power. It has great power to be misused, and that's the power that we're using at the moment, and not the power of goodness that results in the expansion of consciousness and knowledge, and the election of wise leaders, and the sunset of inappropriate technology that is poisoning the earth. So I take the Hopi prophecies very seriously, although nobody else does.
Wow. Thank you very much.